In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make these 2-for-1 pop-up box cards. At least that's what I'm calling them. They're super simple to make. You can do two at the same time, and I'm going to show you how to make these. They're beautiful and they sit up nicely. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 piece of 80-pound cardstock. If you use something thicker, it's a little bit more difficult to work with, so I recommend 80 pound. So we're going to cut this down to 9.5. So your finished size should be 8.5 by 9.5, and you can save that piece for scraps. Okay, now on the 9.5 side, we are going to be scoring at 1/2 inch, 1 1/4 inch, 3 1/4 inch, and 4. So here we go. I'm using a stylus with a round ball. I find it works a lot better for me since it doesn't cut into my paper like a normal scoring tool does. So I'm going to start with scoring on the 1/2 inch mark here. And then we are going to move to 1 1/4 inch. Score it all the way down. And again, we're making 2 cards, so this will be really nice because once we're finished with the scoring for both of them, you'll have 2 cards. And then that next piece is 3 1/4, and then the last score mark you're going to make is at 4 inches. There we go. Okay, scoring is all done. Okay, can be easily distracted by the size here, but I wanted to point out here, you're working with the 9.5 inch side. So if you turn it on its other side, it is now 8.5. So half of 8.5 is 4 1/4. So we're gonna just cut that right down the center so we have 2 cards. Okay, so I'm lining this up at the 4 1/4 inch mark on my paper trimmer, which I'm not a huge fan of, by the way. I'm looking for something new. So here we have 2 pop-up cards, and we're only going to just use one, and I'm going to show you how to trim this. Now, this piece here is what I call the tab, and this is going to be hidden. So I like to give it a finished edge by just trimming off the edges, so when they're tucked behind, you don't really see them. And this is especially helpful when you start folding, because if you don't line up the folds perfectly when you go to attach this and adhere it, you can actually see the pieces of that tab sticking up. So I always like to kind of cut at an angle just so that they're clean and finished. So I sped up this part right here. You need to do the scoring, and I recommend that once you do it on one side, you bend it backwards and do it on the other side. This is going to help with the flexibility of the paper when you pull it in and out of your envelope. So now I'm going to apply some double-sided adhesive tape just onto the tab. Now you want to make sure where you place it, you want to place it so that when that tab is tucked under, the tape is on the correct side of that tab. So I'm just going to add more tape here. I'm going to burnish it in there really well because we want this not to pop up off of the card. Now that my tape is there, I'm going to remove all of the release paper on that double-sided adhesive. And then we're going to fold it, and pay attention to how I fold this over so that you know when you go to do this, it lines up perfectly. So I'm going to tuck that tab in there. I almost made a mistake and taped it down here, but you don't want to do that. You actually want to fold the 3/4 inch piece as well too. And then you can flatten it down and rub your fingers on it to reinforce that tape. And then all of a sudden, boom, you have a pop-up box. Now what I like about this is you can have that pop-up feature on the left side, or you're simply welcome to flip it over and turn it over so that the pop-up feature is on the opposite side. And I promise you it does stand up. So here you go. It stands up. Now I said if you don't like it, you can put it this way and decorate it this way too. Now I won't go through the process of showing you how I decorated them. This is more to explain the design of this card and how to do the measurements and folds and cuts. So here's an example of one that I did using pattern paper. This is from my Mind's Eye. It's pretty old. I've had it in my stash for a long time, but I did use that love piece right there. I thought that was really pretty. And then I added some different types of pattern paper from that stack that work with this particular design. And then on the back, I made myself an open-ended envelope just by scoring some paper there. And I just stamped this "Love You So Much" from a stamp set that I have on hand as well. And I love how this turned out, so the recipient can put it on display and it just sits up nicely, and I thought it was really pretty. This next example is pretty fun. I used the American Holly etched dies from Spellbinders, and I ran a Wink of Stella type glitter pen on the leaves, and then I put on the berries, I put some flat back red rhinestones. And here's an example of the dies that I used. And then I just put a simple greeting off to the right hand side. Now this next one wasn't really my favorite because I didn't love the colors of the bird that I chose. But the bird is there, and if you see, you just don't go beyond the edge of the left side of the panel when it folds up, and it will still fit really beautifully inside of an A2 size card envelope. And then I just took this stamp from this stamp set, which is from, it's called True Friends by My Favorite Things, and I just used that Can't Wait to Hug You stamp set. So when the recipient opens up the envelope and pulls the card out, it will be flattened, but then pops up with that box design. So here is another example. This particular die set I thought would be really cute to make a little wine glass, and this is a shaker card. So you can put anything on those panels that you want, and they display nicely as long as you don't go over that edge. Now this one's my favorite. I love these florals. These coneflowers are called Lovely Layers Coneflower by Honeybee Stamps, and I really love that. They had so much dimension, and I love how everything just fits nicely on that. So here is a full look of all the cards that I made today, and here are some close-ups so you can get an idea. And I hope you give this a try. I hope this is helpful to you. Now stick around because I'm not finished. I have another thing to share with you that I'm pretty excited about. Now, I've recently started doing a little bit more card planning. So in the past, I would just create a card and I wouldn't pay any attention to something that was a particular design. So I created these documents. There are 2 pages, and I created a sketchbook for myself. Now, I know there are some on the market there, but they didn't really have exactly what I needed. So I'm just showing you there's my binder type hole punch, 3-hole punch, my Catherine Pooler ink. And then here is a clean piece of paper of the design that I created for myself. Now, I wanted something specific, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. The other sketchbooks basically are half a page that I've seen. I wanted a full page because I wanted to add more information. So I specifically wanted to add the card size, so I wouldn't have to think 4-bar, A2, A7 square, and then you can just do another size however you want. So it shows the full paper size and then how you score it in half to get the card size. I also wanted to put something that shows techniques, like what techniques did I use? Did I use stamping? Did I use die cutting? You can put a check mark, and then there's a box for something other, like if you did mixed media or something like that. And then here's the color palette. And I wanted to share with you, if you don't have a stamp that size or don't want to go dig for one, use the back of an eraser pencil. That is the easiest way to stamp a color. You basically just stamp your rubber end of the eraser, because it's rubber, and then just put your ink color palette right down here. And you can put a piece of tape behind that color palette area on the back of the sheet so it doesn't bleed through. That's just another helpful tip. And then you have a card sketch and some notes. So I'm going to show you specifically how I did this particular card design that I just shared with you, this pop-up box card. So I completed everything on this, and I basically put that it was an A2 size card. And then the stamping and the die cutting on there, you can do pop-up. It's a pop-up card. You can do embossing folders on it, etc. You can even stamp, all that kind of good stuff. And then here's the design that I did. And I just kind of put an example there. You could even take a picture of your finished design and put it on there too. Just slap that on there. I just wanted to remind myself exactly how I made this card, since it's a little bit more involved. And this is from a design that I created. Now, if you're interested in purchasing these 2 sheets, because I also have one for Slimline. And so you'll see here, same exact concept, except the card sizes are different. So you have a Slimline, a large Slimline, and a mini, and then if you want to do a completely different size, you can choose to do it however you want. And then I put the same types of things, the techniques, and then a color palette area, a card sketch area, and a place to put your notes. These 2 pages that I designed for slimline and the other standard card sizes took me a little bit of time. I wanted it to be specific to what I wanted. And so what's nice about it is you can take the 2 documents and print them at your local copy store and then put 3 hole punches them and put them in a binder. You can put as many as you need. I am asking $4 through PayPal if you have a PayPal account for this particular 2-page document. And if you don't have PayPal, a $4 super thanks would work too. Hope that helps if you're interested. Here is a look at the final cards that I made. I hope you are inspired. I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Happy crafting and ciao for now.